months. Now, around 3 million Massachusetts residents are set to receive tax rebates worth around 14% of what they paid in state income taxes. Folks, get ready for stimulus, it's here. I finally have some good news about the fourth stimulus check, and this time it is the truth. There is a ton of information that I want you guys to know about the fourth stimulus payment. A ton of news that you have to cover. The rebates will be sent directly to taxpayers' bank accounts through direct deposit. Otherwise, the rebate will be sent as a check in the mail for those who do not have direct deposit set up. The total received for the rebates is a set of fractions of one paid income tax, meaning higher earners will earn much more than that. A person who makes 35 grand will receive 200, while someone who makes $1 million would receive 7,000. There's plenty of time for people to file a tax return, as the deadline for this rebate is extended through September of next year. Prices rose less than expected, and the latest sign is that the runaway inflation has been gripping the economy even worse. The Labor Department reported again that the Consumer Price Index, which measures a wide basket of goods and services, rose just 0.1% from the previous month and increased 7.1% from a year ago. Economists had already been expecting a 0.3% monthly increase and a 7.3% 12% monthly rate. So the increase from a year ago, while above the Federal Reserve's target for a healthy inflation level, was tied for the lowest since November. It excludes volatile food and energy prices, and so-called the core consumer price index rose 0.2% and 6% on an annual basis. Joe Biden celebrated today the positive consumer price index report. He said that it showed inflation is easing in the country ahead of the holiday season. Biden also said we had learned last month that the inflation rate has come down from what many experts expected, in a world where inflation is rising in double digits in many major economies around the world. The easing suggests that the Federal Reserve's interest rate increase could be working as intended, and the Fed may be able to change and achieve the soft landing it wants to achieve, and avoid a large-scale economic shutdown. The report is likely to be reassuring of the Fed and the central bank Jerome Powell when it comes to its meeting on Wednesday. The Fed is expected to only increase interest rates by half point, as opposed to the 3/4 points it has deployed throughout the year. The report marks the 5th month in a row where the rate of inflation has declined in the United States. Biden said, "I want to be clear, it's going to take time to get inflation back to normal levels as you make the transition to a more stable and steady growth."
Social Security Administration, there are more than 334,000 beneficiaries here in Palm Beach County.
Seniors are the most vulnerable because they have no way of making more money.
The complex offers seniors assistance where it can, but the property manager says he's never seen so many of their tenants struggling to pay their bills.
What do you choose, food or rent?
Charitable organizations now come by weekly to hand out food. And today, the line to get food was substantial.
So, shocking news, you can expect more stimulus checks very soon. It's because Congress is discussing an action plan to address inflation again and help the people on low income. So we know that direct monthly payments are going to be sent out to families in California and across the country to pay for necessities including food, rent, and educational expenses. This American Rescue Plan has actually critically expanded its reach and benefits, folks, increasing monthly checks and the number of eligible recipients by removing an earnings requirement that kept the lowest income families from claiming the full credit. But so far, between July and December, child poverty was slashed by nearly 40% to reach a record low of 5.2, and now 3 million people were lifted out of poverty in a single month. But Congress has put nearly 10 million children nationwide at risk of falling deeper and deeper into poverty, as they did not pass a bill to continue this expansion. But as House Democrats put forward the biggest legislative priorities over the next 4 weeks, Adam Schiff is urging that an extension of the child tax credit is included to any year-end package. The expanded child tax credit provided a lifeline to more than 65.6 million children nationwide and nearly 8 million people in California, folks. So far, everybody. According to data from the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, since the expansion expired, an estimated 20 million children nationwide have been unable to claim the full payment. And then we have another thing to talk about, folks. It's a Democratic lawmakers introducing the new bill to increase the state child tax credit for working families. This is done in efforts to address rising levels of poverty in the city and states of New York. And this is pretty good because it now means that stimulus payments could be sending out more and be sent out now in 2022 and 2024 and then even in 2025. A bill to create the New York State Working Families Credit would actually increase the state child tax credit program to the $1,500 per child from $500 and expand eligibility to children under age 4 and families making some pretty no money. families actually were paid quarterly, and since single taxpayers making just a gross income of 25 grand or less, or couples making 50,000 or less who file joint return, they would be eligible for the benefit. The State Department of Taxation and Finance would assess a family's eligibility for the credit through income filings from their annual tax return. The U.S. also started in 2023 yet again as one of the few wealthy nations without any national paid family leave or paid sick leave program. Folks, this is bad because with Congress divided, advocates are turning to states to bolster benefits for workers and families, and the Democrats attempt to pass 4 weeks of paid federal family leave to fall apart in the U.S. Senate, leaving a patchwork of rules for workers and businesses to navigate across. The state-by-state nature of this is pretty dangerous. Of the rules means millions of Americans, millions of families are in need of help, and it means that something should be done sooner than later, because now, as of this year, 13 states, including D.C., have passed some paid family leave program. 14 states and D.C. have enacted the paid sick leave program, but an estimated 28 million workers still have no guaranteed paid sick time.
The great Francis Perkins, FDR's labor secretary, once said, "A government should aim to give all the people under its jurisdiction the best possible life." That's it. That's the job.
And this legislation was meant to shore up the finances of multi-employer pension plans, which are responsible for providing benefits to the retirees. And before the American Rescue Plan was signed into law, many plans were in a financial crisis. Beforehand, the House Education on House Committee and Labor warned that failing plans will enable to help the people who need benefits the most and they're owed to retirees, and that the funding for this program that helped so many Americans was running low. But now, according to the White House, insurance programs are estimated to become insolvent by 2026. It leaves around millions of people without the benefits that they had accrued through their careers. And a White House fact sheet had stated that in the latest cash infusion from the rescue plan, $36 billion went to the Central States Pension Fund, safeguarding 350,000 Teamster workers and retirees, including truck drivers and warehouse workers, from cutting to their benefits. So it's not the only proactive measure that the Biden administration has taken up to shore up American finances when they retire. The president had released a plan to address climate costs, draining retirement funding, and also their savings account. But now the relief in the pension comes to Republicans' potentially eye cuts to security. Social Security, that is, another major social safety net for the elderly and retirees. Social Security is already cash-strapped. So many experts are worried about the future of the program. And also, this Thursday, Chuck Schumer was reelected by his caucus to lead Democrats for a second term. It happened during a private meeting in the Capitol as the caucus chose to keep most of the pre-existing leadership team intact. In the wake of a better-than-expected midterm election, Democrats obtained majority of the House and the Senate. Only Senator Patty Murray of Washington, who will be the president for a while, will not serve on the leadership team anymore, after serving in the number of years, and now it's time for him to retire. But Chuck Schumer, on the other hand, and the rest of the leadership were unanimously elected by the Senate Democratic Caucus to serve again in Congress. The election comes, the party